Well, BookTube, I decided to make a video before I go to bed. It is 10:30 at night. It is February the 7th. It is a Tuesday night. It's 10:31 at night. Usually I go to bed at 11. I thought about not making a video, but I looked at my BookTube channel. It's been 2 days. I was going to make a video yesterday, but my wife and I have been down with some kind of bug, scratchy throat, coughing, kind of. It's not really been a bad cold, but just feeling kind of tired, kind of drained, kind of a little spaced, and so, but I'm feeling better. My wife didn't go to work last night, but she went to work tonight, even though she was coughing, and because she's a nurse, she's going to have to wear a mask all night so she doesn't infect anybody at the hospital. But then she's off Wednesday and Thursday, and hopefully when she goes back to work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that she'll be feeling a lot better. Then next week she flies to Arizona to be with our daughter as she has her third child, Jack Stewart. So anyway, I thought I'd make a report. I made a video Sunday, but it was only like 4 minutes because I was really out of it Sunday. But even though when I'm out of it, I still write in my diary. Like, tomorrow will be February the 8th. I'll be on page 108 tomorrow. If I wake up tomorrow, if I don't die in my sleep, or the Lord comes back and we go into the new creation. So yeah, today I wrote 3 pages in my 2017 diary. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be on page 108. And so what did I read today? Well, today, let me see, I think I read this book I got in the mail. I read this yesterday and I read this today. I got this in the mail. It's called Nomad by Steve Erickson. And it's kind of like a memoir. It says here, part memoir and part road movie, racked by pop dreams and apocalyptic reveries. Nomad is a journey across the face of the national Zeitgeist, some German word, all the way to the last election of the millennium. So this memoir takes place in the late 90s, like 96, 97, 98, up to the millennium, 2000. For Steve Erickson, the acclaimed author of such visionary novels as Days Between Stations, Arc DX, and Amnesia Scope, he also wrote this novel, which I have in my library, Zeroville by Steve Erickson. He also has a new novel coming out, which I have pre-ordered. It's called Shadowbahn. It's coming out, I think it comes out at the end of this month. Steve Erickson's new novel, and I'll probably talk about it more in the future. But going here, describing Nomad, which I've been reading yesterday and today. What began as an assignment from an increasingly perplexed Rolling Stone magazine to cover the 1996 presidential campaign soon became a much stranger and more auspicious mission to chart the lengthening lines of fracture in the American landscape where memory has become disengaged from history. Sounds like what's going on right now here in America. And right now in these last election when we voted Donald Trump, or number 45, it says here, the lengthening lines of fracture in the American landscape where memory has become disengaged from history. Quote, a state of entropy, writes Erickson, where not only the political and moral gravity has imploded, but a gravity of the spirit, end of quote. Amid the smoke of a bombed-out federal building in Oklahoma City, beneath the falling shadow of a TWA airliner, the American, originally conceived as a floating crap game of benign Jeffersonian anarchy perilously approaches a twisted and malignant version of that. Thomas Jefferson's anti-country giving way to Timothy McVeigh's America has become a country of nomads who wander the hallways of the American soul, not sure if they're a funhouse or a cancer ward. End of quote. When he is abruptly fired by Rolling Stone, Erickson suddenly finds himself, quote, a correspondent without portfolio, with a bogus press badge and bogus business cards, armed with moonshine credentials and a super can't pronounce that word either. Superdicious itinerary of his own making, he decides to keep on driving into America in the last years of the 20th century. Quote, quotes, on one last rampage through the National Asylum, just to make one last observation, one last comment, or even to tell one last lie. End of quote. From state to state, from primary to convention, from historical icebound New Hampshire to the psychic desert cul-de-sac of Los Angeles, from the Teco pyramids of Las Vegas to the ancient Indian pyramids of Las America called Kakakea, buried in the Midwest. Among the fellow wanderers and exiles that include Bill Clinton, Bob Dole, Colin Powell, Pat Buchanan, Richard Nixon, Mike Hammer, Frank Sinatra, Scott Fitzgerald, Oliver Stone, and Philip K. Dick, Bruce Springsteen, and Faulkner's Joe Christmas Erickson roams the highways of a republic in revolt against itself in search of its own meaning until he meets it in a car wreck on a highway outside Chicago, the most nomadic American of all. So I got that. I came across this when I found out that Steve Erickson was coming out with a new book. I came across, he's written, I don't know how many books, but this one looked really interesting, and so I got it used for a couple of dollars. I read Zeroville up until page 205 when I read it. I got this from a library books used book sale a couple of years ago in Hudsonville, Michigan. So I was reading that, and today I got in the mail the new biography of the poet Elizabeth Bishop, who I've mentioned many times in previous videos. She's one of my favorite poets. This is Meg Marshall's new biography on Elizabeth Bishop, A Miracle for Breakfast. So I got that in the mail today. I have these other biographies by Megan Marshall, which I read pretty much. I read up to page 185 in this one. Margaret Fuller, A New American Life. She wrote this one, Megan Marshall. And this was a biography that was sent to me as a gift many years ago by somebody in LiveJournal, and she sent it to me, and I have not read it. It's called the Peabody Sisters, Three Women Who Ignited American Romanticism. The Peabody sisters were Elizabeth, Mary, and Sophia Peabody. It says here, Elizabeth, Mary, and Sophia Peabody were in many ways our American Brontes. The story of these remarkable sisters and their central role in shaping the thinking of their day has never before been fully told. 20 years in the making, Megan Marshall's monumental biography brings the air of creative ferment known as the American Romanticism to new life. Elizabeth, the oldest sister, was a mind-on-fire thinker, a powerful influence on the great writers of the era, Emerson, Theroux, and Hawthorne. Among them, she also published some of her earliest works. It was Elizabeth who prodded these newly minted transcendentalists away from Emerson's individualism toward a greater connection to others. Mary was determined and passionate reformer who finally found her soulmate in the great educator Horace Mann. The frail Sophia was a painter who won the admiration of the preeminent society artists of the day. She married Nathaniel Hawthorne, but not before Hawthorne threw the delicate dynamics among the sisters in disarray. Marshall focused on the moment when the Peabody sisters made their indelible mark on history. Her unprecedented research into these lives uncovered thousands of letters never read before, as well as previously unmined original sources. Peabody's sisters cast new light on legendary American era. Its publication is destined to become an event in American biography. So, Megan Marshall wrote The Peabody Sisters, three women who ignited American romanticism. She wrote this biography. Margaret Fuller was a transcendentalist. She was a close friend with Ralph Emerson. She was an editor of the Dial, which was a transcendentalist literary journal. She was a writer. I have some of her books that have been reprinted downstairs in the library. She lived a very interesting life, and so this is her, Margaret Fuller, A New American Life. And this is Megan Marshall's new biography, Elizabeth Bishop, A Miracle for Breakfast. So I got that today. This is put out by the Library of America. They published Elizabeth Bishop, Poems, Prose, and Letters. She only wrote 100 poems, and so there's not that many of them. But she was friends with other poets like Robert Lowell. I found out today, there's a new book on Robert Lowell coming out end of the month, which I have pre-ordered. It's by a woman named, her name is, I can't remember right now. I have one of her books, and it was downstairs, and I was looking for it. And her name was Kay Redfield Jamison. She just wrote this book called Robert Lowell, Setting the River on Fire, Study of Genius, Mania, and Character. So I'll show that when it comes in the mail at the end of the month. So I showed these books as far as what I'm reading. I've been reading pretty steady. Matthew Stewart's Nature's God, Heretical Origins of American Republic. I'm really enjoying this. He also wrote this book, Matthew Stewart, which I bought a couple of years ago, The Quarter and the Heretic, Lessness, Spinoza, and the Fate of God in the Modern World. I got on page 211 in this one. And I don't know how this came out in 2006. But I'm really enjoying this Nature's God, Heretical Origins of the American Republic. Also, I've been reading The American Philosophy, A Love Story by John Craig, and reading Paul Thirac's Deep South. This is a travel memoir, Deep South, 4 Seasons on Back Roads. Also, I was reading this today, The Age of Reagan, A History 1974 to 2008. When I was reading that book on American Nomad, it was talking about the election of Bill Clinton, and I wanted to read this chapter called The Politics of Clintonism. So yeah, it's called The Politics of Clintonism. So I was reading this today along with American Nomad. I like following American history. I like following American politics, elections. I'm not really, crazy about that stuff, but I like reading about those years that, I lived through the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the late 60s, and so I'm kind of curious. And plus, like I said, I'm a student of American history, politics, American transcendentalism. I collect Ralph Emerson, Henry Thoreau, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Emily Dickinson, Margaret Fuller. I like reading about the American philosophy, the history of American philosophy, which this book is about. And I lived in the Deep South. We lived in Jackson, Mississippi in the Deep South for 5 years when I was going to Reformed Theological Seminary, studying to be a conservative Presbyterian minister. So that's what I've been reading. That's what's on my mind. I'll probably get into this maybe next month because I'm trying to read other things that I have shown in previous videos. So that's what's going on in my book world. Like I said, I've been sick. I'm kind of drained and kind of tired, kind of spaced. I do notice I got some new subscribers. I had 46. Last time I looked, I had 351. Thank you for the new subscribers. Thank you for hanging around. And do pray that you might have a good week. I might make another video. My wife is off Wednesday and Thursday. And I don't know. I don't have anything coming in the mail. But we'll see. So anyway, I hope all is well with you, that you're staying dry here. It's been raining, cold, drizzly. It's supposed to get now 19 degrees on Thursday here in West Michigan. But hey, the roof doesn't leak. We got food in the refrigerator and the bills are paid. So praise the Lord. So until next time, I hope everybody's having a good week and having a good reading week. And until next time, bye.